Number 19 on this Bleacher Report big board free agency is from the Cleveland Cavaliers. You have Jerome, who had a decent season, a pretty good season for what the best team in the Eastern Conference this year, the Cleveland Cavaliers. He's an unrestricted free agent. He made $2.6 million this past season. And you have the Cavaliers, who can make several difficult decisions this summer. And Jerome, who was a pretty huge part of that Cavs team that had the best record in the regular season, but that team underperformed in the playoffs, as we saw, losing to the Indiana Pacers in the second round. And you can talk a lot of that underperformance could be attributed to the health of guys like Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell, who were dealing with injuries. And you had Jared Allen, who was also dealing with injuries. And that was a Cavs team that had Evan Mobley, who won the Defensive Player of the Year this year. His salary, and part of his salary, Evan Mobley's salary, jumps to 30% of the Cavs cap instead of 25%. And Cleveland, who has one of the heaviest payrolls in the league, and that's even before considering Jerome, who will seek a little bit of a raise as he can muster. He can either return to Cleveland, take less money, or he can go somewhere else and make a little bit more. And in their prediction, they have the Kings as the landing spot for Jerome, as Sacramento is in need of a starting, capable guard who can come off the bench. And Jerome, this past season for the Cleveland Cavaliers, he appeared in 70 games. He averaged over 19 and a half minutes per contest. He posted 12.5 points per game, 2.5 rebounds, nearly 3.5 assists, a steal. He shot over 51.5% overall, over 43.9% from three, and 87% from the free throw line. And Jerome's efficiency placed him in the top 25% of field goal percentage, and was strong across all the other splits this past season. This was kind of a breakout season for Jerome in this in that Cleveland Cavaliers team. He operated this past season. Jerome operated as the sixth man, sort of what Malik Monk did here in Sacramento. He was a heavy on that pick and roll player, running 43% of his plays that way per analyst. He provided a dependable instant offense off that Cavs bench, pacing the team with he is a very high IQ players, and the Kings, they need more of that. And the consistency that he played with in the playoffs, in that first round against Miami, his best game was in game 1, where he exploded for 28 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 assists. In the second round against Indiana, where the Cavs lost in that series, he kind of had a limited impact, did not play a lot. He struggled shooting the ball in that series for the Cavs against Indiana. He was 1 of 14 in game 2, which concluded that season shooting of just 38.9% from the field, and he averaged over 11.5 points per game, where the Indiana ended up beating Cleveland in that series 4-1. And notable, Ty Jerome, uncharacteristically, was an off night in many pivotal moments in that series. But the upside for Ty Jerome here in Sacramento, he emerged as a 6th man of the year candidate for Cleveland this past season. Per 36-minute metrics, 22.5 points per game, over 6 assists per game, 4.5 rebounds, 2 steals on .516, .439, and .872 shooting. Was an elite bench production for Ty Jerome this past season. Again, the Cavaliers, who had the best record in the Eastern Conference, 64-8, he played an integral role for this Cavs team. And the Cavs, again, they're up against that second apron of the luxury tax, meaning Ty Jerome's next contract could be a financial headache, despite this breakout year this past season. And there are multiple teams that may offer a hefty mid to high level deal for Ty this offseason. And that price tag likely above that $2.5 million salary that he made this past season for the 24-25 season. This was a career year for Ty Jerome for the Cleveland Cavaliers, that 64-18 season, transforming himself from the end of a bench depth guy to one of the NBA's most efficient bench scorers and playmakers. You know, his regular season numbers may have been outstanding, but it was really tough. Outside of that game 1 in the first round against Miami, it was a tough postseason for Ty Jerome, where his momentum tempered, and Cleveland, they faced several difficult decisions financially this summer. Can they avoid to keep him? Maybe on the low cost, on the cheap, amid the cap constraints that they are up against in the luxury tax, or does Cleveland risk losing a valuable piece to their team and their bench depth this summer? So I think Ty Jerome would be a nice fit in Sacramento. And if you look at how would Ty Jerome fit on his Kings team as right now, as it stands, with Sabonis, Keegan Murray, Malik Monk, DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine, Keon Ellis, Devin Carter, that would bring a unique fit as a depth piece with a situational upside. It's a deep bench playmaker, shooting specialist, combo guard. Ty Jerome can play point guard or the off guard. He's likely a third string guard and a situational backup playmaker. And if Ty Jerome was on the Kings, I think right now I would probably have Keon Ellis as the starter and Ty Jerome as the backup. Some of the strengths that Ty Jerome would bring to a Kings team: smart playmaking and that pace control. He excels at running the offense in a controlled half-court setting. And when Domantas Sabonis is off the floor, or the team needs a steady hand behind Devin Carter or Keon Ellis, Ty Jerome, he can run that second unit effectively. He's a catch-and-shoot threat. Career over 38.5% from beyond the arc, with a peak of 42.9. That happened in 22-23 season when he was with Golden State. And he can slot in next to the ball-dominant wings like DeMar DeRozan or Zach LaVine without needing many touches. And this is assuming DeRozan is on this Kings team for next season. Position, he's very versatile. He can play next to defensive guards like Keon Ellis or Devin Carter, thanks to his off-ball shooting. He's comfortable in a dual guard lineups, which suits, I think, what Doug Christie might want to offer with the mix and matches. He's a liability. He's not known defensively as a defensive guy, so he lacks that. Jerome, he does lack the foot speed, that lateral quickness to defend some of the elite guards in the league. With small guards already on this roster, like a Malik Monk and Devin Carter, the defensive matchups could get a little tricky for Doug Christie and this coaching staff. Jerome, he did miss the entire 23-24 season with an injury. It was an ankle injury, I believe it was. So health could be a concern. But this past year, Jerome played 70 games for the Cleveland Cavaliers. 27, and with Jerome's style of play, he isn't pushing for major rotational minutes unless there are injuries to this Kings team. Just to go with the fit on this Sacramento Kings team, you got a bench point guard behind Keon Ellis and Devin Carter, but I think he would slide in as that second guard behind Keon Ellis. You can play spot minutes with your starters with Keegan Murray, Sabonis, DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine. He can also be part of the closing lineup, whatever Doug Christie decides that to be. Most likely to be Keegan Murray. Sabonis most likely in that closing lineup. Zach LaVine. He's good as a low turnover creator, a floor spacer next to Sabonis in those handoff actions, and he is also a very high IQ player, and the Kings need more of that. Smart, steady, and he is a veteran option for a Sacramento Kings team right now that needs a point guard. And Jerome would be a low-cost, high IQ depth guard for this Sacramento Kings team. While not in the regular rotation, I don't think you would have him start in the starting lineup to begin the season if the Kings did sign up. If everyone's healthy, I think Keon Ellis would be best as the starter. But he's the kind of the break glass of emergency player who can step in without disrupting the flow of the offense, surrounded by, again, the ball-dominant players in Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan. Malik Monk at times, very unselfish player, and shooting would actually fit cleanly in those second unit lineups off the bench. You can go a grade, a B or a C grade on the fit. Jerome would not be a rotational lock to be in the rotation full time, but a savvy insurance who aligns well with what Doug Christie probably would want to do with his offensive system this upcoming season. And Jerome, at 6'5", 195, he played 6 years in the NBA, so would be a nice rotational player for this Kings team coming off a career year for the Cleveland Cavaliers this past season. Let me know in the comments down below if you're watching this on YouTube. Would you like to see Jerome on the Sacramento Kings this upcoming season? And how do his fit would be on this Kings team. Let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notify bell. And that will do it for this episode of our Kings related podcast. I will see you next time for another episode of our Kings related podcast. And as always, go Kings.